Hi y'all, my name is Venus. I take all things and situations seriously. And it's not because I was born with a high sense of responsibility. No, it was saving my psyche. Whenever I smiled or laughed, I saw the dead and their souls, and it made me feel creeped out. I'd been seeing them since I was little, since my mother died. All that was left of her was a half pendant with a red stone. She told me I had to find the other half, and when the two stones were reunited, I would stop seeing the souls of the dead. My mother knew and understood my condition, and she said she had seen what I had seen. On her path, she met a man whom she fell deeply in love with. However, they were not meant to be together. As you can understand, one half was kept by my mother and the other half by this man, a single hole that kept them together. After she was gone, I decided to find that pendant, the other half of which I had carefully kept around my neck and never showed to anyone. I could wake up in the morning from a stare and find a horrible-looking shadow hanging over me. They weren't just dead people, they were people who had died prematurely, not their deaths. They just followed me, and I had no peace. They were pulled by my smile, even as I smiled through sleep. Over time, when I realized this, I developed the habit of a stone face, and because ordinary people didn't interact with me, they thought I was haughty, but explaining to everyone what was going on was pointless. Months passed and they were gone, and so was the smile on my face. That day I came out of the laundromat and went to get a cab. I saw a car pulled up right in front of me. A guy got out. He was carrying a huge pot of flowers, bags, and a mug of coffee in his hand. I yelled toward him, "Wait!" And he slammed the car door with his foot and stepped forward, at which point the car started to move. It turned out that the guy had caught the edge of his coat when he slammed the door, and the car dragged him a couple of meters. The flower pot rolled on the ground, the hot coffee spilled on his face, his bags tore, and food spilled out. It was so funny and ridiculous that I laughed like a sick person all the way, and I didn't notice the cluster of spirits next to me. I got scared, but decided to ignore them this time, pulled out some tissues and went to help the guy, wipe him off. He was surprised, and I had a strange feeling of warmth emanating from him inside. I turned around and one of the dead men appeared abruptly next to me and opened his mouth and yelled, and I yelled back in that guy's face. "Why are you yelling at me?" "Me? I wasn't yelling. I was just scared for you." "I'm sorry, you're hurting me." "Why did it hurt? I just yelled. It was a reflex. It's nothing personal." "No, you're standing on my leg." "Oops." I smiled. Then a ghost came out from behind this guy again and flew at me sharply. I pushed back and got caught. When I opened my eyes, I noticed that they were no longer around. I wondered what it was all about. Why weren't they there anymore? I was hanging in the air, being held by the flower master. "Why aren't they there anymore?" "Who?" Sorry, I accidentally..." As soon as he let me go, they reappeared when I smiled. But every time I touched the sky, they disappeared again. So we said goodbye and each went our separate ways. A couple of days later, I found myself losing my journal and remembered that I might have dropped it when I fell. Shit, I needed to find my thing. The only ones who could tell me where this guy was were, well, them. I smiled, and a grandmother came out in front of me. An old woman, but she didn't scare me. It was like she was showing me the way. First, she led me to a cafe, where I ordered a sandwich for some reason. I followed that path and saw the same guy a few blocks away. He'd sat down to eat his sandwich on a bench, was thinking about something, and his food was carried off by a seagull. "Damn, why does it always have to be like this?" he yelled to the whole park. I walked up to him and handed him my sandwich, and he thanked me. And then he informed me that he dropped my journal, and all that was left of it now was the cover because he'd engaged in a fierce battle with a dog who'd taken it away. I laughed again, and that grandmother appeared next to me. She chased the other spirits away and looked at him, then at me. The guy's name was Aaron. I took the leftovers and stepped back a few meters, and water immediately splashed on Aaron from a biker who drove by. He's like, "Again? Why am I so unlucky? How have I been living for the last 2 years? I'm sick of it all." 2 years? I'm sorry, it's just, I was thinking out loud. I think I need to do something. I told him that, roughly realizing that it wasn't me who wanted it, but the ghost grandmother. She could be there for us whether I touched Aaron or not. It didn't work on her, but she would disappear suddenly whenever she wanted to. Aaron and I followed the path laid out by that grandmother. She led us to a fortune teller, who looked at me, then at Aaron, and told us that there were a lot of restless souls sitting here. Aaron was frightened. The fortune teller began to say that she could see some kind of power near us, something red. "It's before midnight tonight. If you don't help the ghosts in time, your gift will turn against you and become a curse. Forever." She wanted to continue, but I asked where the other half of it was, and then Erin clumsily pushed the candle to the floor and her tent instantly burst into flames. The fire spread quickly. We barely had enough time to escape. We were ashamed of ourselves, but I couldn't go back because I didn't want another round of curses. She said we needed to take some kind of gift, but what kind? "Do you have some kind of gift?" "No, do you?" "Well, I wouldn't say it's a gift." Then I stumbled and fell to the ground, and Aaron grabbed my hand. At that moment, someone's ghost came up and said clearly and loudly, "Go see my daughter. She's alone right now. She needs medicine. She can't walk." I was surprised because I'd never been able to hear them talk before. I asked why, and the ghost said he didn't know, but that he just knew we could help him. We? You and that loser. As soon as I let go of Aaron's hand, I stopped understanding them again, and as soon as I took it, I heard them. "Do you see something? Who are you talking to?" "I think I understand the gift. Aaron, I'll tell you something on the way, but we need to get somewhere." I went to that ghost's daughter. She turned out to be an invalid. She was very sick at that moment, and we managed to help her by calling an ambulance and injecting her medicine. Right after that, another ghost appeared. I took Aaron by the hand, and we were asked to rescue a child dangling from the window of a high-rise building. It was the grandson of ghost number 2. Aaron was surprised, and that's putting it mildly. However, he also noticed something. "When you're around, I don't have setbacks. Why?" he asked. I replied that it would remain a mystery for now, but we had to hurry. A 10-year-old boy was hanging from a window, his mother wasn't home, and none of the neighbors noticed the little guy was in danger. While I called the rescue workers, Aaron managed to climb up the fire escape. The boy's arms got tired, and he almost fell down. His grandmother's ghost pointed me to an advertising banner dangling from the building. I grabbed the other end of it and gave it a proper tug. The boy started to fall, and I picked him up with the banner, and he rolled like he was going down a merry-go-round on me. "Ouch," I said. The ghost just smiled and disappeared. We had saved about 10 lives that day and were visibly tired, exhausted, and no longer strong. The ghosts all piled on top of me already, even without my smile. I knew I wasn't going to make it. I took Aaron's hand and said, "Help! How can we help everyone if there's no more strength in us?" A grandmother appeared in front of us. She looked at Aaron, then looked at me, and said that the series of troubles with the families of the unburied souls continues because the stones are not together. They divided long ago, and now their bearers are paying the price. But who are the bearers? One of them is Aaron. He lives in failure. He has the other half? That's all I can say. My time is over. She vanished, then other ghosts came. We didn't have much time left, and I couldn't do anything anymore. I shoved my hand to Aaron's side and asked if he had a red stone, but Aaron was silent. I looked up and saw that he was hurt. His side had a red bar sticking out of it as he tried to save the boy. Aaron was unconscious, and I panicked. I started screaming and asking for help, but we were surrounded by more and more ghosts, and touching Aaron was no longer working. We were out of time. It was just a minute to midnight. Out of desperation, I hugged Aaron and lay with him on my side on the ground, my pendant beginning to burn. Out of Aaron's pocket, red glowed. This was it! I took my pendant off my neck and touched Aaron's pendant, and they were reunited. There was a bright flash. I blacked out, and I woke up at home. Aaron was sitting next to me. "What happened? Your wound?" "It's okay, it wasn't too deep. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, it's just, What happened? I think what was supposed to happen. My grandmother came to me in a dream. She told me that you and my parents are the same lovers who shared stones to meet in secret, because the spirits saw them together and reported everything to the local fortune teller, and that, in turn, went to our grandparents. In the end, they were separated, but my parents took half of them with them. Your mother was married off, and my father was married, but the curse lived on. We were born to finish what they started. The spirits bothered us and made all the arrangements for us to meet. Have I seen the spirits since then? I do, but they don't bother me as much as they used to. They just walk around. And I can see one of them behind you.